over the page, the following page, right at the foot of the page, it says 19 July 1989, BCH appeals, fax to Kevin. Do you see that? And that suggests on the ordering of these notes that what's recorded before that occurred prior to him appealing, in other words, during the judicial committee stage. Do you accept that?
The sequence is not how I remember it. What you're saying as far as what I'm understanding, the sequence there. I'll have to read it, go right through.
All right.
I can't answer anymore.
Perhaps we can look at the report of your decision. That's at tab 3. Do you recognize this? Perhaps we can ask that it be scrolled down and you can see the bottom of the page as well.
Yes.
Do you recognize this being the report of your decision to disfellowship? Mr. Duroy, who wrote this report? Do you remember?
Looking at the typing, I'd say I most probably did that.
Okay. And then Mr. Bardich and Mr. Ali signed off on it as well, is that right?
Yes.
And you'll see there that there's no mention of BCG's complaint. Do you see that?
That's right.
And so there's no mention of the complaint that you believed, that sickened you, that was very serious, albeit that you felt you couldn't uphold it because of the two witnesses. But you don't report back to the branch office in this report that you had at least received that complaint. Why is that?
My memory, from what I understand, what I've written here is dealt with what the grounds and so on for the disfellowshipping BCH. So from memory, I cannot say anything else from there.
The process at that time, as I understand it, was that in the event of receiving allegations which could not be spiritually proved or proved in accordance with the requirements that are set out from which you take scriptures as your authority, were then nevertheless to be reported to the branch in case similar allegations might be made again by someone else, then the previous ones could be used to form the proof. Isn't that the process?
Look, I can't answer that now off the spur of my head. But this was an ongoing investigation into those things. This was part now of, we have dealt with BCH to be able to carry through on that judicial matter, but it was an ongoing investigation with regard to these things. So by all those notes, we were obviously still also doing further investigation. So this dealt primarily with why he was now disfellowshipped and the grounds for that. And that's all I can say.
Well, perhaps you can clarify for me, Mr. Duroy, your procedures provide for you to hold a judicial committee into allegations against non-members of the Jehovah's Witnesses Church.
Would you say that again, please?
Your procedures provide for your judicial committee to have a hearing or make investigations into allegations against non-Jehovah's Witnesses.
Well, we deal, the judicial matters are there with regard to ones who are in the congregation, not those who are not. But the members of the congregation, if they bring accusations and there are other things that come out, well, we are there to be able to go further on that.
Well, if I live in Mariba and I'm not a Jehovah's Witness and a member of your congregation has some allegation against me and they take it to the elders are not going to form an investigative committee to investigate me, are they?
No, not you. No.
Yes. So now you've taken a decision here to disfellowship BCH. He's no longer a member of your congregation, is he?
No.
He's not a member of any congregation.
No.
He's outside of the church.
That's true.
So how can it be that you regarded the allegations, the child sexual abuse allegations against him, to still be subject to a continuing investigation?
Because BCG is very much a part of our congregation, along with her fiancé who became her husband. So we would be supporting and helping them all the way through, because the pain of everything hasn't gone away. So we are still helping in that respect with them. And if the person then, as is in this case, wants to bring it to the law, then we give them that dignity that they bring that to the law, and we will fully support that, so as was in this case.
Mr. Dorias, just to avoiding the point.
I don't mean to, sorry.
Yes. Well, the point is this. You say that the reason why the child sexual abuse allegations are not recorded or reflected in this report is because they were subject of an ongoing investigation. That's what you said a few moments ago. But there can be no ongoing investigation of allegations against someone who's out of the church.
For the person who's disfellowshipped, yes, they're disfellowshipped. But all I can say is that as elders, we're still helping the victim in this case.
Well, that I understand. But you see, what appears to have happened here, and I suggest it is what happened, and I'll give you the opportunity to respond, is these serious child sexual abuse allegations were made. For whatever reason, you decided to disfellowship on different grounds, and the child sexual abuse allegations were then just left. Isn't that what happened?
No, it's not. I may be looking at through how I recall it, but he was disfellowshipped. We had that meeting. He was disfellowshipped for lying, for loose conduct, and we had BCG's word against BCH. We had enough information to be able to say, yes, we will disfellowship him from the Christian congregation. He then, within 7 days, appealed our decision of disfellowshipping on the grounds of loose conduct and lying. So the appeals committee then is arranged, and from my memory, it's at that time that now really the child allegation and the child molestation abuse there, and those words that I recall, that everything that BCG has said is true by BCH. That I recall that, and it was then on that, from my memory, that now this is added as the basis for it, on top of lying and loose conduct that was previously. So from 1 week to then 7 days, and then having that appeals, that's how I understand. So that was added then.
And if he had not appealed, then what would have become of the sexual abuse allegations?
Well, from my understanding, BCG, we felt BCG had the right to go to the police when...
Of course she had that right, but no one was assisting her or encouraging her to do that. What were they?
I cannot give any other reason.
She wasn't herself able to do it until many years later. You know that.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. Yeah. And may I add, I would think that would be the case because, you know, it was leading up to getting married, and then from there. So that would have occupied a lot of the time.
Well, it was many years later, and she's explained it wasn't about because she got married. It was because no one helped her or supported her, and it wasn't until she left the Jehovah's Witness church that she felt able to go to the police.
See, I disagree. I look at my memory is totally different to that as far as supporting her. We were very close as families. My younger children were very close. We had many years of association afterwards, not only while
Further, since you as the Judicial Committee felt you were unable to do so.
I have no recollection of saying yes or no for her to do that.
Well, let's deal with the appeal. If we look at tab 4 of the tender bundle, that's BCH's handwritten appeal document. Do you recognise that? You can scroll it down if that'll help you. Scroll it a bit faster. You see it's dated 19 July 1989 and signed by BCH. Is it that you don't really remember it? It was too far away, too long ago? Is that the point?
I find it, I would have to really look at that because I can't even quite read it.
All right, well,
sorry.
Let's not delay on that. If we look at the next tab, tab 5, this is now the report from the appeal committee. Now, just before you take time reading that, I'll just clarify a few things. As I understand it, you and the other members of your judicial committee were present as observers in the appeal committee hearing, is that right?
That's correct.
Yes. And in the appeal hearing, BCH confessed to the sexual abuse allegations in respect of BCG, is that right?
That's correct.
And then this, as you'll see, if we can scroll down a bit, you'll see see coming onto the screen there now, which has been highlighted. It says fresh evidence under questioning of witnesses and appellant produced further more serious reasons for disfellowshipping. And it sets out, and that covers the child sexual abuse allegation. Is that right, the bit that's highlighted?
Yes.
Yes. And do you recall what it is that was said in the meeting which amounted to the admission or confession by BCH of the abuse by him of his second daughter?
Did you say the second daughter?
Yes, BCG. As I understand, BCG is the second daughter. Do I have that?
Yeah, sorry, yes.
Yes.
As I said previously, the memory I have was where BCG admitted to everything that BCH admitted to everything that BCG had said. So as far as specifics, no, I have no memory.
All right, perhaps I can show you tab 32. You'll see that this is a statement taken by the Queensland Police Service of James Bennett. He was a member of the appeal committee, wasn't he?
That's right.
And this was then a statement for the purposes of the prosecution of BCH. And if we look on the next page, paragraph 6, this is talking about the appeal meeting. And Mr. Bennett said that when BCH was confronted by the statement made by his daughter, BCH admitted that they were true. So would that accord with your memory?
Yes.
Yes. And if we look at 36, tab 36. You'll see this is a Queensland Police Service statement of Donald Angus Wilson. He was another member of the appeal committee, is that right?
That's correct.
And on the following page at paragraph 7, also speaking in relation to the appeal committee meeting, Mr. Wilson says, initially BCH denied his daughter's allegation, but I recall that he finally admitted that he had done what BCG alleged. Is that right?
That's correct.
That's what happened. That's what happened.
That's correct.
So now, following the appeal, which of course confirmed the disfellowshipping and added the extra ground, not so? That's right, isn't it?
That's right.
So following the appeal, you had confirmed allegations of serious child sexual abuse and incest by BCH, not so?
Yes.
That he had admitted.
He admitted.
And the approach taken by the elders was that BCH should give up his pursuit of the other woman and return to the family home. Would that be right?
That would have been a decision for him.
Now, in the light of the information that you had at that stage, following the appeal, did you not then consider reporting to the authorities or to the police?
No.
And are you able, now looking back, to explain how it is that that was not something you considered?
I would still go back to, for the sake of confidentiality and also for the persons involved, that is their right to go to the police. We didn't say one way or the other, but that's their right to do that.
And
I didn't feel it was mine.
whose confidentiality was that? In other words, who had a claim in your mind for confidentiality in relation to this information?
Very much for BCG.
It was BCG. So she could have consented for you to take it to the police, not so?
Any time.
Yes. And did you ask her whether she would like you to take it to the police? You didn't?
I have no recollection one way or the other.
Now, do you recall there was an occasion on which BCG attempted suicide? This is in this period you say you were caring for her a lot.
I don't have a recollection of that.
Perhaps we can look at her paragraph 60. Do you see that after the introductory sentence, sentences, in the second line she says, "Not long after I married BCJ, I still felt worthless and alone, and I tried to commit suicide by taking an overdose. I had to report my suicide attempt to the elders, as it was a sin against Jehovah." Attempted suicide is regarded as a serious sin, isn't it, Mr. Leroy?
For someone who commits suicide, really, we want to give all the help we possibly can.
Well, you're not answering my question, Mr. Leroy.
No.
I'm asking you, it's a serious sin, isn't it? Attempted suicide.
To answer that, for someone in their right mind to kill themselves, yes, but this is totally different. This is someone who's been very much affected by what's happened. It's different.
Well,
Doesn't apply.
I have to say, I'm not sure that I ever saw an exception to it being a very serious sin in the documentation. But perhaps that's something that the documents will show one way or the other. We'll see how BCG continues there. She says, "I remember that I spoke to Ron." Do you remember she spoke to you about her attempted suicide?
No, I don't.
Right, we carry on onto the next page. And she says that she was chastised by you because attempting suicide is viewed as a serious wrongdoing within the church. You say you don't recall that.
No.
And are you saying you did not chastise BCG?
My recollection of the times that I spoke with BCG on occasions with her husband was always to encourage, to help her to think positively, to give her comfort and support. I would not have at all think of chastising someone who felt like that. That is just not part of how I shepherd and help ones who are distressed like that. So no, I don't believe that's correct.
Could we look at tab 80? Ringtail, page 24. I'll just show you, Mr. DeRoy, you can see that the document that you're going to be shown is, you're familiar with this document, "Pay attention to yourselves and to all the flock." That was a guide to the elders that applied from 1991, is that right?
Yes, I believe so.
And you'll see here various forms of wrongdoing are set out, and perhaps this is what you had in mind. You see under manslaughter,
Yes.
in the second main paragraph, it said attempted suicide may be the result of deep despair or major depression. Deal carefully and compassionately with such a person. In most cases, a judicial hearing is not required. Is that what you had in mind?
That's what I had in mind.
So the right response to BCG in the event that her attempted suicide came to your knowledge would have been to deal carefully and compassionately with her. Is that right?
Very much so.
But you say you don't remember that.
But I have no memory of that.
go back to tab 6. Just scroll it up so the whole letter can be seen. Thank you. So you'll see on the 7th of August 1989, BCH wrote to the body of elders and said, "Dear brothers, I felt I must write to ask your forgiveness for the trouble I have caused and the reproach on Jehovah's name and the congregation. Please forgive me." Do you recall receiving this letter?
No, I don't.
Now, subsequently, and I'll take you to the correspondence in a moment, subsequently, BCH sought reinstatement into the Jehovah's Witnesses. Is that right?
That's true.
Now, can you explain what are the principal considerations when someone applies for reinstatement?
They would write a letter to want to be reinstated, and then that would then the judicial committee would look at that plea for reinstatement.
Yes, and what, in deciding whether or not reinstatement should be granted, what are the principal considerations? What is it in your inquiry or your investigation in that judicial committee? What is it that you have to consider?
The things that very much consider is he truly sorry for the things that he has done? Is he able to say that to the ones that he has hurt? Can he correct anything that possibly can be corrected? Is his being sorry because he got caught out and had the punishment, or is he sorry because now he wants to actually be forgiven by our Creator, Jehovah God? So we have a term of whether he's really godly sorry for that. Is he godly repentant? So by his attitude and his repugnance for the terrible things he had done, how that would all be conveyed is what it would be based on.
This be a convenient time, Your Honour.
Yes, just before we do rise, you referenced the book of Deuteronomy as the source of the need for there to be 2 witnesses. The book of Deuteronomy, of course, has some other fairly strong demands, including a murderer being executed and an adulterous woman stoned to death. Do the Jehovah's Witnesses accept those statements as appropriate today?
Your Honour, we can't kill someone for adultery or stone people to death, but under the Christian arrangement, we can disfellowship people for those things, which really, if they want to make things right with God, they've got to then change. So to have that relationship back. So we can't do that, but the principle of it is that we remove them from the congregation.
But leaving aside that you can't do it, do the Jehovah's think that the appropriate punishment today for a murderer is that they be put to death?
That's for the law to decide.
I know, but what's the Jehovah's position on it?
Our position is that superior authorities in whichever country we are in, it makes the law on that. So whichever country we're in makes the law on whether someone should be put to death. That's my understanding.
But that would override the Bible dictate in that respect.
Well, we don't have the right to take someone's life ourselves, or.
But in terms of the principle, the civil law will override the biblical injunction. Is that the way?
In this situation, the civil law has the right to do that.
Yeah, Dr. Jason Morrison, theologist again. I just want to say thank you for watching the videos, and I hope you got plenty of self-rediscovery and freedom out of it. If you watched it on YouTube, please share or like, maybe even comment. If you watched it on Facebook, like, comment, share. But most of all, get out and live. This isn't a rehearsal. You've got a one-off life. Don't let your loyalty and your faithfulness blind you to the life that you should be experiencing. Till the next video, thank you for watching, and bye for now.